definitely a science fiction geek when I was a kid. I lived in one town and I went to school in another town. I rode a bus each way, about an hour and a half every day, each direction. So while I rode the bus, I read books, and they were always science fiction or fantasy books. And I read a book a day, a book every other day, and just a voracious diet of it. And as I read these stories of other planets, other worlds, other times, alien cultures, I'd draw pictures because I was an artist, and I always had to interpret what I was reading with images. So Avatar, decades later, was a way for me to take all these ideas that I'd been working on in my imagination for a long time and put them all into one movie.
Jake, it's real simple.
I want you to learn from the inside. I want you to gain their trust.
You should not be here. Go back.
No, I think it's still cinema. I think it's absolutely cinema, but I think cinema redefines itself every few years with new techniques. I think when George Lucas came along with Star Wars, he reimagined cinema and what the boundaries of the imagination could be, and proved that science fiction and fantasy could be commercial cinema. And cinema took a turn at that point because the science fiction of the 60s had been more cautionary, more dystopian, and now all of a sudden it was adventure fiction for the mainstream. Like, I'm fascinated by the technology, but I'm probably more fascinated by human relationships, and as Sigourney said, what it means to be human, and science fiction is a way to explore that. But I find that the more fantastic the subject, the more fantastic the setting, the more recognizable and universal the relationships and the people need to be.
Haven't gotten lost in the woods, have you?
Do you forget what team you're playing for?
I do think there are many instances throughout history where so-called civilized people have gotten up out of their homes and gone to other countries for reasons that they were perfectly capable of justifying to themselves, but ultimately the end result was, we want your shit. We want what you've got. And it started with, by the way, the Spanish, the English, and the French coming to North America and South America and conquering all the indigenous peoples and enslaving them or destroying them and destroying their cultures. So I think no one in this room does not have ancestors who are without sin.
They've sent us a message that they can take whatever they want. But we will send them a message that this is our land.
Avatar, the Na'vi and Avatar characters were played by Sam, Zoe, and Sigourney and the others. They created those characters. They created those performances, and it was our job subsequently to make sure that those performances were not in any way lost or degraded by the technical process. So the editing process was interesting because now we had to take the performances and we had to say, there's the same choices you normally have. Maybe Zoe was better in take 4, and Sam was better in take 6 of the same scene. So we had to make some performance choices. Then we had to shoot all the cameras, all the angles, all the coverage, the close-up, the two-shot, the wide shot, and all that sort of thing. Once we had that done, then the editing was normal, absolutely normal. The only difference was that I had the editor right there with me next to the volume, and as we do all the camera coverage later, the actors weren't involved in the camera coverage. It was done later, just me in the middle of a big empty room, maybe 3 or 4 times the size of this room, just walking around and doing the shots. But the editor was right there, so the editor had a direct communication with me as the director in that moment. So it was a more tight coupling of the editorial process and the shooting process than you would normally get.